Hold tight because this story is more than online chatter. It's the kind of warning Hollywood hopes never comes to light. Away from cameras, luxury events, and perfect social posts, there may be a truth so serious it could shake the entire entertainment world. What sounds unbelievable is now being discussed in private rooms and whispered about in public spaces. One well-known name has suddenly become the center of attention: Teyana Taylor. And one outspoken media figure, Tasha K, has brought long-buried claims into the open. According to statements shared on her podcast, this situation goes far beyond popularity or image. It involves trust, personal responsibility, and possible risks that were never addressed openly. Insiders claim sensitive documents, test reports, and sealed discussions are now being reviewed as part of a deeply troubling situation. Rumors suggest a concealed condition, accusations of silent exposure, and concerns that others in the spotlight may have been affected without knowing. Fans are stunned. Industry professionals are alarmed. Behind closed doors, legal teams are mobilizing and crisis plans are forming. If even part of these claims proves accurate, this stops being celebrity drama. It becomes a serious wake-up call that could permanently change how one protected star is seen.
Or was it a relationship? Here's the thing. I know TT got upset with me when I said that she was too clingy. It was given too much too soon.
What Tasha K shared next was not something the entertainment world expected to hear. According to her, behind the smooth appearances, bright lights, and carefully managed image, there was a story that had stayed hidden for a long time. She made it clear she was not talking about internet talk or vague rumors. She described what she claimed were private records, personal warnings, and information that was never meant to become public. When her podcast began, her voice was different. She was calm, serious, and very careful with her words. That change alone caught people's attention. Listeners know that when she speaks this way, she believes the topic carries real weight. She explained that the industry is not only built on talent and fame, but also on silence, legal agreements, and secrets people are afraid to challenge. Then she mentioned Teyana Taylor, and the mood shifted instantly. Tasha said the story had been whispered about for years behind closed doors, discussed quietly among insiders, and kept far from public view. She claimed the silence had now reached its end. According to her statements, Teyana had allegedly been dealing with a serious health issue for a long time. She stressed this was not something small or temporary, but something that could affect close relationships and professional connections. Tasha repeatedly used careful language, saying her claims were based on documents and confidential sources. She suggested that some people who should have been informed were not. If true, she warned, the effects may have already happened without public awareness. She emphasized that this was bigger than one person and could involve wider risk and exposure. She also spoke about personal relationships during a difficult emotional period after a public divorce, claiming choices were made that later raised concerns. Then she mentioned Aaron Pierre, signaling that the story was about to take an even more serious turn.
Nasty. Nasty. I mean, hell, baby daddy ex-husband just got the police called on him by one of Ra Ali's alleged girls that she sent down there to have a threesome with him. And then the girlfriend that he was supposed to have threesome with didn't want to participate, and she only wanted it to be a twosome. And so allegedly he wanted to force her to do it anyway. So she had to call the police to tell the police she didn't want to participate.
When those statements went out to the audience, everything shifted. At that point, the discussion stopped being only about health concerns. It turned into a story about disorder, controversy, and actions spinning out of control. Tasha described someone struggling emotionally, making impulsive choices, and pulling others into situations they never expected to face. She said this period was marked by poor judgment, ignored limits, and spaces where people were exposed to risks they never agreed to take on. Then came the claim that truly shocked listeners. Tasha suggested that Teyana's former husband, Iman Shumpert, might have been one of the first people impacted, not just emotionally but physically. She never stated it outright. Instead, she paused, chose careful wording, and repeated phrases like allegedly, and from what I've seen. Still, the meaning felt clear. She implied the breakup may not have happened only because of personal issues, but because of fear. Fear over what may have already occurred, and anxiety about what could surface later. According to her account, the situation did not end with the divorce. She claimed similar patterns continued afterward, involving other well-known figures. She mentioned artists, actors, and powerful names that are usually shielded from public criticism, including Kanye West and Aaron Pierre. She stressed these were not light connections. She described them as serious interactions during a time when she claimed a major health risk may already have existed. That, she warned, is where the issue becomes alarming. In her view, this moved beyond private mistakes and into public concern. She explained that Hollywood has quiet systems to contain situations like this, including legal agreements, silent settlements, and image protection strategies. She hinted those systems may already be in use. What troubled her most, she said, was not the alleged condition itself, but the silence around it. The possibility that people who deserved honesty were never informed. She returned again to Aaron Pierre, describing him as new to fame, unprepared for industry pressure, and possibly unaware of what he was entering. She suggested his later behavior showed confusion and emotional strain, like someone trying to understand a reality they were never warned about.
And all I'm saying is that I felt like it was forced. I felt like she was way too clingy, too soon. You just got out of a nasty, very public divorce. And I feel like he was just rebounding.
Those statements hit with force because the story suddenly changed direction. What once sounded like romance now felt like a rebound. What looked like attraction began to resemble emotional survival. Tasha suggested this connection was never meant to grow into something lasting. It was not built on balance or truth. In her view, it served as a way to run from pain, from public pressure, from divorce, and possibly from a reality that was becoming impossible to ignore. She explained that what bothered her most was not internet talk. It was the repeated pattern. The timing felt off. The secrecy felt heavy. Emotions seemed unstable. She pointed out that several people may have stepped into situations without understanding the risks ahead. By the time she reached this point, the tone had clearly shifted. This was no longer about celebrity love lives. It felt like the opening of something much more serious. Tasha then told her audience that the real danger, according to her claims, was never emotional. She said it was physical. She lowered her voice and explained that if her sources were accurate, every relationship after a certain point carried possible consequences. She stressed she was not guessing, but sharing what she said documents and private information suggested. In her words, silence created a chain reaction. She described how powerful circles often manage sensitive issues quietly. She claimed reputations are protected first, while honesty becomes secondary. Lawyers seal files. Doctors sign agreements. Public narratives get redirected. In that environment, she suggested transparency can disappear. What disturbed her most was the timeline. She alleged the issue may have existed before several high-profile relationships began, meaning people may not have been fully informed. She said fear more than facts caused relationships to collapse. Insiders allegedly noticed distance, sudden exits, and unanswered questions. Some connections ended without explanation, leaving only confusion behind. She then returned to Aaron Pierre, describing him as different. According to her, he appeared more invested and emotionally open. She claimed that after the relationship ended, people around him noticed stress, withdrawal, and visible unease. Tasha said this was when quiet warnings allegedly began circulating. Not public alerts, but private advice. Managers speaking carefully, agents making calls, people being told discreetly to take precautions. She raised a troubling question for listeners. What if this did not stop early? What if it spread further than anyone realized? She emphasized she was not accusing, but questioning a system built on silence. In her view, the longer people remain unaware, the greater the potential harm. She ended this part by saying one thing clearly. When secrecy replaces honesty, damage grows quietly, and by the time the truth surfaces, it is often too late to undo what has already happened.
He sounds a little bit more needy than what she's used to. That's why she slides another hoe into the bedroom, because she ain't got time to be there. You know she be traveling. She got 2 kids she got to fend for. You know what I'm saying? And she be on everybody's project, including her own. And she ain't got time to be settling down and cuddling and sucking on a man's ear to make him feel comfortable. And every time I saw them together, he was always like... And I'm like, like, why is he acting like Becky in the relationship? That's what he learned from them damn Beckys. For real. So, sucking on his ear. Y'all ain't ever heard that before? People that got sucking fixations, it's like a soothing mechanism because he can't suck his thumb in public, so she would suck on it. Come on now. Jasmine, you've seen that before, right? I just felt like he just needed a breast to suck on. He just required too much attention. And Teyana's a busy girl. So to me, I feel like, for her, it was rebound. I can't say that word right now because
Those statements changed the direction of the story once again. What first sounded like danger now looked more like escape. What felt like exposure turned into distraction. Tasha suggested this connection was never driven by romance. In her view, it was about staying alive emotionally, moving nonstop and never slowing down. She explained that when life becomes quiet, hard questions begin to surface. To avoid those moments, she claimed Teyana filled every hour. Projects stacked one after another. Flights, appearances, events, and meetings followed without pause. According to insiders she spoke with, constant motion became a shield, a way to outrun consequences. Tasha said people close to the situation described Teyana as distant during that period. She appeared guarded, closed off, and afraid of real closeness. When someone tried to get emotionally near, the connection ended quickly. Tasha claimed relationships did not fall apart because of heartbreak. They ended because of information. Something learned, something suspected, something too serious to ignore. That, she said, explained why breakups felt sudden. No explanations. No slow fade. Just silence. She then described what she called the containment stage. According to her, this was when powerful people realized the situation could spiral out of control. Reputation teams allegedly stepped in. Stories were redirected. Timelines were adjusted. Instead of health concerns, the public heard rumors about cheating, personality clashes, or career pressure. Anything except the real issue. She said the strategy worked for years. Fans debated drama while the most important question was never asked. Who was being protected? Tasha explained that the emotional impact on everyone involved was severe. She described anxiety, sleepless nights, isolation, and fear tied to private medical uncertainty. She claimed one person, whose name she did not reveal, struggled for months before seeking answers. When those answers arrived, careers shifted, deals changed, and personal lives collapsed. From that moment, she said, the story stopped being about one individual and became about damage control. According to her, fear spread quietly through the industry. Emergency meetings happened off record. Legal teams prepared for crises before any headlines appeared. She described the mood as panic hidden behind professionalism. Not denial, but fear of what could happen if the truth surfaced. She claimed that after the breakup with Aaron Pierre, image protection became the top priority. Public stories were carefully shaped. Interviews sounded scripted. She alleged that subtle efforts questioned Aaron's emotional stability, not openly but quietly. Invitations slowed. Opportunities faded. People kept their distance. In her telling, influence guided perception. Tasha said this was when the system fully activated. Health questions disappeared. Relationship drama filled the space instead. While fans argued online, executives managed risk behind closed doors. She claimed some people were advised to step away from public spaces. Testing happened privately. Confidential agreements were signed. Conversations became cautious. She described it as a silent quarantine. No announcements. No warnings. Just distance. When fragments of the story leaked online, she said control weakened. Fans noticed patterns. Sudden breakups. Canceled appearances. Projects delayed without explanation. According to her, insiders understood why, even if the public did not. She ended this chapter by returning to behavior. She said the most revealing sign was emotional, not medical. Looking back, she claimed Aaron's need for reassurance made sense. The confusion, the anxiety, the search for comfort. In her view, it looked like someone sensing danger without fully understanding it. And with that, she suggested this chapter closed, leaving behind questions the industry was still trying to bury.
People think it was a PR relationship. I feel that it was. I feel like it was mutually beneficial. They both could use the PR. This helped her to distract from what was going on with Ema. Inman. Is that his name, Jasmine?
It's Iman.
Now that he's
Iman.
Iman. Okay, y'all know I'm bad with names. And so it was.
Those statements felt final, like a decision had already been made. At that moment, the story shifted for the last time. What once looked like romance now appeared to be damage control. What seemed like connection began to look calculated. Tasha suggested this relationship may never have been about affection. Instead, she implied it was about exposure, steering attention elsewhere, and reshaping public focus while something far more serious stayed hidden out of sight. She pointed out how the timing alone raised concerns. It happened right after a divorce, right as rumors started circulating, and just before deeper questions could gain traction. To her, it looked carefully placed. She explained that this is a familiar method inside the entertainment world. When pressure builds, denial is not always the move. Distraction is. Introduce a new storyline. Spotlight a fresh pairing. Flood social feeds with curated moments. While audiences debate romance, the real issue fades into the background. According to Tasha, this approach bought time. Enough time for agreements to be adjusted, records to be sealed, and people to quietly step away without explanation. What changed everything, she said, was her decision to speak. She claimed her reason was not attention or gossip. It was harm. Not emotional pain, but physical risk. In her view, staying silent crossed a moral line. She told listeners what troubled her most was not celebrity behavior, but the structure protecting it. She described how influence shields itself, how facts get buried, and how those without power are left alone to face consequences. She said if even one person was unknowingly placed in danger, then the story deserved to be shared, regardless of discomfort. She warned this was only the beginning. Fear leaves evidence behind: legal traces, medical records, digital footprints. Eventually, someone talks. She ended that segment by saying there were still names she had not spoken, files she had not shown, and links she had not revealed. Not yet, because she explained this story is larger than relationships. It exposes systems that value fame over safety and silence over honesty. At that point, one truth became impossible to ignore. This was no longer a celebrity scandal. It was a crisis of trust. If even part of these claims holds weight, then the issue is not one person but an industry willing to look away. And once someone finally speaks, control disappears. From here forward, the story does not stop. Spreads.